just flying around the room. Whoa. If you know what this is in reference to, that's pretty cool. If this is making you dizzy, good. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you and your grandma. Because that bitch pisses me off. I'm getting real tired of her, you know, ivory shit. If that makes sense. If that even makes sense. But does it though? Could it make sense? Could it even make sense? Oh. What's up, J-Ma? What's going on, lady? Did you guys see that there was a kid that was, there's some sort of midget over in the wall that punched the little figure out, if that makes any sense. What's up? Day 49. Day 439, actually. And I wanted to talk about replicants from Blade Runner. Favorite movie ever. It's got to be like this, and then it goes like that. Blade Runner does. I have questions for myself, and I figured, why not ask nobody? And so, the philosophy of the consciousness connected at the idea of change can become in time corrupted and evil. I think the last video, interestingly enough, was about, somewhat about, like not really, kind of philosophy. And I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's a very good opportunity to talk about the concept behind the universe a little bit more like in focus. So here's what I'm thinking, and I've talked about it like a countless times, but I think this one just, we're gonna hyper focus on that. So here we go. I will try my best to remember to put like pictures of things. I probably will forget, but I will try to see what I can do. I don't really have the boards available to write on because I'm fucking using them right now. But regardless, here's how it goes. So the known universe is where we sit in this world right now, in this time. We live in a realm that seems to be dominated by time. Seems to be the general kind of chains that make this motor roll. Now, everything inside of it acts from it, meaning that everything has a beginning and an end. Everything decays, everything just falls apart, everything dies. Every single thing, you know, like fucking, what do they call, like planets and suns, like they even can die, right? All the way up to all the way down. Now, everything inside of the universe exists in the book. So there is an Earth, there is Mars, there's Venus, there's whatever the other ones are called. All that exists, right? This place that the book, this world, as shown on the map, may be here. Everything exists. Well, that exists as well, I should say. But that the world will exist outside of the universe. So let me see how I can word this. If we're to believe that the universe is ever expanding, that must mean there's a place for it to expand to. You know, like somewhere to it's growing into. If we were to believe everything works the way it does here, if I have something grow, well, it's got to have a space to grow. Now, outside of the universe, I'm assuming is unfathomable. We can just call it darkness, though. Perpetual darkness. Let's just use that as a term, but keep in mind it's a representation of that which we cannot explain. So, like Mr. Rogers, and disrobing weirdly. I'm gonna put on my fucking talking jacket real quick, but that's kind of generally how that works. So, this place exists in that said realm of darkness. Now, do I have a good drawing I'll use later? Yeah, I'll use it when I get to that point. The realm, the planet, we should say, called Yuandra, and its moon, called Dree, are places outside of the universe. These places were created by the Titans. Now, whatever it was always existed. And as I said in the last video, if you remember, talking slightly about the philosophy, well, interesting enough, my focus more is on, there is philosophy to be had, but my focus is more on the mythology of it all. Because within mythology is philosophy, the study of everything, the study of cognizant ideas and thoughts and all this and that. Meaning that the realm of darkness, I'm just going to refer to it as that, this place outside the universe, had two, let's say, like a duality understanding. Male and female, love and fear, birth and death. Each one will represent the other. These two beings, one to be eventually named the Whisper, and the other being is known as Mother. You could call it Gaia, you could call it Mother Earth, whatever the hell you want. It doesn't really matter, but it is that indeed. Now, because of those two beings, and unbeknownst to Theus and his buddies and the Titans, they traveled to this place. They found the edge of the universe and they penetrated through it. And because of that, they were able to discover this place and sense these beings. Now, the reasoning behind Theus and his friends kind of entering this realm, they are some sort of alien from some galaxy to which they inhabit some kind of solar system. It's really it's not fully developed yet. But as I imagine them, they're just a higher intelligent race of aliens. At the behest of what they call, and they've called it in the journals, that could have been a translational issue through the Titans and the Anaku, but the Anaku say that the Titans were obeying their creator. Now, it could just be an overseer, or it could be an actual creator. It's really, I don't know yet. I haven't gone to that point. But they, through his will, went to this place to set up a system of constant, perfect energy. Essentially, they wanted to look to farm the situation. And it's a convoluted reasoning, and I will eventually pinpoint it down to whys and hows, but you have them creating the Anaku and the world and all that stuff. And I've talked about it before, where Mother is the source. She was separated from the Whisper. The world was enveloped around her, and upon the planet grew, which would be the drawing, all the things that you understand in the world. Now, for the reasoning to that, how and why they had to do this, it would be probably it's like a farming situation where you have to get the raw material made into a certain form to be able to harvest energies from it. For whatever reason, creating the world as it is and creating the Inaku was this raw form being transformed into a workable material to then be harvested. Now, these Inaku lived in these forests on this planet for God knows how many years. And there was some sort of understanding. Now I'm going to read a few things and hope to God these work. Reality being the most almighty of the elder beasts, who twist and play with what mortals would call time. In the realm outside of the circle, which is where we were talking about, those ancient beings that consumed our perceptions. They cast a fog on the ideas we would try and form around the places, only pretending to be full and rich of visual. Contrast to light, it was dark, for that was how the Titans found it. One such being was the Mother, or as it was called by the Inaku. The Titans came to the realm of life and threw images of what was already beyond. Now Mother was merely one of the beasts. It was not necessarily the strongest. She would have the urchins, Inaku, attached onto her in the vast void. Some would say the realm of life is a realm of darkness, for that was how the whisper grew. It would eventually curse all who inhabit. When one understands the plight of the Titans, the banishment of the Aeon, the doom of mankind, this will always be caused by the lingering truth that the realm of life was not meant for those who inhabit it now. Mankind and the Inaku will never truly understand this. Alone in the dark, they would hang. It was a place of vast knowledge. This was really what the Titans sought. Do not let those Inaku elders fool you. The Titans are not altruistic beings that gave purpose to the Inaku. They brought Hello? Alright, what did I say? Where did I stop at? Is my toe on the screen? Alright. They are not altruistic beings that gave purpose to the Inaku. They brought damnation upon the now mortal realm. In their hope, it was twisted. A thought. One that was so damaging. One that will always... one that will follow all that are born next. That very word uttered will forever bring doom. Why? Why was this all to be? Never will the answer be found. Still, quiet, sleeping beasts that when awoken have brought fear to the hearts of man and May. We only know these beasts as the inevitable truth, reality. That's kind of like a concept written about the damnation of the Titans. There are those who believe that mankind is a plight on this world of Earth, right? That we're destroying it and everything. That would be somewhat of a viewpoint like that. Man and May together are the mistake. And the real casting of the darkness is reality. Reality that there is more to what is going on. There's more to what this realm truly is. And what... because like what I say about this, you know, I'm saying like, oh, the Titans came here, this and that. Like, it's not like everyone knows this on that planet. Mankind would know that only as what a Christian in 1603 would think a pagan thought. Like, oh, that's stupid. That's blasphemy. That's what mankind thinks about the Inaku story. Mankind barely knows about their own creator of the Aeon. But this is one being here that is seeking to expose the truth of what the world really is. And in my mind, this is some sort of character. I've always kind of had this person in my head. I don't know what race they are. I don't know, man or woman. I don't know. But I'm like, what if there's a denier? This mad person. Like mad, you know what I mean? Like mad according to the realm of life. As I talked about this stuff, like, the issue with time. When the Titans created all this, they had to create the machine to keep this all working. And then I will show this image of the machine. Now that machine is the synthetic way to create this farming kind of situation, this harvesting of life. It's a little convoluted. It would take some explanation. I mean, just looking at it does look a little complex, but it's actually not quite finished. There's a couple things on there I'm just like, you know what, maybe not. Or like maybe there's a couple things to work with, but it essentially works like what an engine would look like. So when one looks at an engine from the outside, they see there's a pulley system. That's what I hate about this. They see what we would, as a layman or someone that doesn't understand engines, you would just see things spinning because of a belt. And you would think, well, those things are spinning because inside the engine things are happening. We don't know what's happening. If we don't break open an engine and we've never seen one before, we wouldn't know what the fuck's going on. But we do understand that there's exhaust coming out of it and things are moving because of whatever's happening on the inside. That is essentially that picture. It's just very simple explanation of it. You have these three moving, what are those called? Not levers, but pulleys? I don't know. You know, whatever, pulleys. And the main one being life within the realm. And it continues to circle just like everything else, from life, death, life, death, life, death. And the two driving forces of that one in the middle there are what would be past and present. And the chains of time are the actual chains, the timing chain. Get it? Like in an engine? That part's covered up, but that does exist. Now, on the chains, there can be the slap issue, where it's too loose, and that's where you're getting strange situations when it comes to this feels familiar. But it could also be deja vu, which is the imprint of time. The belt's gone around so many times that if there's a groove, or if there's a shard, or if there's something sticking up where the chain goes, it's going to cause a nick, and on that part there, it's always going to be there. So when the chains of time roll back, up to the future, back to the past, coming over again above you, you'll definitely sense that deja vu. The concept of time that moves is only the idea that we move along with it, when in reality that cannot be the case. In fact, our circle moves like a device that is being pulled by time. Think of everything that is intangible in your mind. Everything around you, all the way to the heavens, everything you could possibly understand. That is within our circle, that sphere. When the Chantry talks about the circle, or when they talk about the universe as a circle, that's how the understanding works. Everything within this bubble. The universe is a separate bubble. We are this one. Scholars and religious people alike are starting to see the idea of what's really going on. It's like a renaissance within the 1600s in the book, where people are starting to understand that maybe there's this circle, there's more to it than we could ever understand. It isn't something to be feared. Okay, that is all within our circle. Now imagine that time is like a belt around our circle. One end of the belt is connected to an engine called past, and the other end connected to an engine called future. Let's not use the word engine, let's just use pulley. Now this belt pulls forward, and we can see the progression throughout our own aging. When one can see the belt moving, our time, they can begin to see where it has come from. Time is always in motion going forward. We are constantly going to the future. We are present in the now, and the past has happened, right? Like, we know that it happened. I remember being a child. You know, you remember certain things happening, but it's not happening right now, is it? It happened in the past. So we kind of, in our minds, in a small way, we just discern that as oh, that's then. That's the, that's the simplest way we'll ever think of it. I don't know what that means, why it's happening and we're constantly progressing forward. We aren't in the future because the future hasn't happened yet. The future is a concept. It's very crazy when you think about like what we think time is and how we just kind of accepted it for what it is. Now this belt pulls forward and we can see the progression throughout our own aging. Yeah. When one can see the belt moving our time, they can begin to see where it has come from. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're sensing with what your reality is, or you're sensing with what you determine was the past and the future. The concept lies within our minds. You're beginning to see the time, the chains of time, because you yourself are in full understanding that something is happening. A machine is working. Or whether it be synthetic, mechanical, or something far beyond our ever understanding. Something is making this work like a machine. I believe it was the Masons who talked about the world as the universe as like a clock, with all these little gears and stuff inside of it, all acting upon each other for one purpose, and that is time, right? Now, the past and where it's going. The future. Now, when it laps back around from the future, so time that you understand goes forward, I am imagining what it could be. That time chain will come back around underneath to wrap back around the past. These two proponents, as far as I could understand it, seem to be working in tandem. Us being in the middle. So when you say as above, so below, or when you say concepts like God is, what is the saying? It's like Alpha and Omega. I am the beginning and I am the end, or something like that. That's exactly how it works. We contrive it in our minds to God being the proponents of the future and the past. What does not exist and what does exist. What is future, what is past. Like, we inhabit this middle portion, and that middle portion is consciousness. So when it laps back around from the future, it comes back through the past, and we can see the consciousness of our own minds. When you're involved with the present, that's why they say it's always good to be present, because you're able to see past thoughts and future thoughts. You're able to discern mistakes and things that should happen. You're able to discern how life is a continual circle and how it's constantly in motion like that. When it's passed ahead, it can be followed and made sense of. So my thinking here is a consciousness and that clairvoyance and understanding how to do things because you see a great outcome. You have some sense of what's below you. But when it comes back above you, that's when you can start to make sense of it because you know where it's going to go. So you need to grasp it from below before you can grasp it from above, right? Again, that's my idea of as above, so below. Now, I know that it's other meanings, but that's how I would interpret it. When it passes back, we get memory. This is a large and small at the same time, each in our own lives and the lives of the collective. This synthetic machine that was created by the Titans is somewhat similar to the universe and how it works. So this machine that I'm describing is kind of a synthetic creation that is within the universe of the great clock, right? All the mechanical parts and the gears all working in tandem for one constant thing, the ticking of the time. Now that is universe. This, what I'm describing here, is the synthetic universe, this machine and how it exactly works. And this machine I'm describing in that picture I showed, that is what the Titans have created. Now it's kind of a bastardization, right? But its true purpose is once it's placed there, it works as, along with the creation of life and the planet, this is how you can harvest full energy. Energy created from the mind. Energy created from a collective hive mind. This was going to be the master plan of the Titans. Now the Titans aren't, like, they wouldn't call themselves Titans. That's just the name I've given them. I think they're the Alakir. If I'm not mistaken. Or the Kilsians or the Alakir? I can't remember. Maybe there's races of them. I don't know. Here's the story of, well, we're not going to get into yet. But I wanted to give as simplified as I possibly can, the understanding of how everything really works. The understanding of the beginning. The keepers who were aiding in mankind's ascent are those who came from the other realm. They guided us until they disappeared from history some time ago. It was said their intervention was because of a great disturbance that was felt throughout the circle, and it was they who were tasked to cure this problem. Eventually, in time, they gave man the understanding of what would become Ejurik's Chantry, to which it was said to be named after the Keeper Master. It was originally meant to serve as an honor of his memory. He was said to have drifted into the circle, or beyond it, as it was said, beyond even the realm of creation. It was pure ascension beyond even what man could not achieve, the circle. So you're starting to see, I'm reading a document kind of mankind's belief in what this is. Now, this is not a scholarly thing. This is not mathematical. This is purely religious, right? For you see, where man inhabits is life, and in life is everything his mind can and cannot grasp. This place that lies outside of the circle. The beginning of the understanding that we may not be a part of some sort of natural order, but not quite a bastardization of it. Now you can kind of see why there is this malevolence towards the Titans and the Anaku, naturally in mankind. This is kind of derived from the Ejurik's Chantry of Adrana, where Adrana is not necessarily they don't outright hate the Anaku like someone may think Tantorum does. Not to say that they do outright, but as one would imagine, right? That concept can get very muddy. It can get very complex, and there could be a lot of things going on with who's where and what do people believe and what is your consciousness, what is thought. Is this a mistake? Is what the Titans did, and this is the question of mankind, is what the Titans did a mistake, or was it some sort of divine intervention? Were they acting on the behalf of something? Because high scholarly people, like the scholars of the Ejurik's Chantry, if you will, they would understand the Aeon and the Titans. They would understand what lies beyond that. Now, the average person, or what is told to the average person, would not understand any of this. They would be told that their creator is their creator. And that would be the Aeon Oapake. And there's a whole thing going on there. Like, this is before the whole leeching that happened because of Aek's men and the bastardization of that even. This is before that, right? But they would understand the issue is a complex one. Are we a mistake? Was this meant to happen? Or is this some sort of... Okay, is it a mistake or is it meant to happen? Are the two things. I don't know why I said it like that. So, mistake, meant to happen. Which one could we believe? And that's the true search of the Ejurik's Chantry when it comes to anyone above the aristocratic class. Because those are the people that continuously make the consciousness of the country in motion. Right? You can clearly see it in the real life that there's a divide between people that work in the Goodwill to all the way to the people that are in charge of the city council and so on and up and higher and higher. There's generally at least a little bit of an intellectual difference. I mean, it's not always the case, we know this, but the system has cracks to fall through, right? But it's the idea that, the pure idea that they have in Adrana is aristocratic class and above. These are the ones where this all really matters. The study of it all. Now, they're all being kind of fooled by Beovoc and all that stuff, but that's a whole different fucking point. The idea of this is to understand what time is and the philosophy and mythology of it all. Now, here we go. Life only connects to the astral realm, a sort of crossroads to the circle, a place that lies between with endless possibilities. That is that foggy mirror. That is that point from one realm to the other. The realm of the book, where Yandra exists as the planet, and the universe. What connects it is an astral strings, and that's in that picture as I showed. That is the understanding of transcendence of the mind. It was said to have been created by the Titans long ago, where Theis and his council held during the creation of the world. It was later discovered just how the Titans made this realm, for the inner workings had become clear after work was completed in Dirk's Chantry with the arm of the scholars. So this is, as I was saying, this is them discerning what it truly is. Looking at the myths of the Anaku. Looking at early mankind's thought processes. What truly is Dove? What is Kramos? You know, stuff like that. Our understanding of the passage of time is not of the ticking of the clock, but rather what exists in the mind. For when the old scholars talked of we existing in the mind of the Creator, in some ways they were not wrong. For when we discovered influences from the other realm, this was where the understanding of the circle clicked in our most prestigious minds. For we are a circle that lies outside another, and what guides our spin is known as the chains of time. That is what holds on to these mechanisms. The mechanisms are in constant motion. The chain is what drives the force of the mind. It is the driving force that sees the imprint that was laid upon the chains of time to pass over our realm of life. We find residual stamps of events coming back to us, to which our minds decipher unknowingly it and put it into our own consciousness. This is why time is in the mind, has been adopted by scholars, the idea. At any rate, there are 2 points that time passes over. Life is now, remember. So when time passes over now, it goes to the future, in which, motherfucker, it wraps around and passes back to where it meets death and goes into past. This is where we find a connection to what is ethereal and magic. So this is them kind of really starting to understand what the Dume is, what this magical power that they're imbued with, like how truly does it work? Because we never really went into the detail of this video of like the Aeon's influence after the Titans created all this, because the Aeon would come in. That's going to have to be a separate story. We're just talking about time right now in the book. I'll get to that eventually if needed. For you see, this is called the eye, or the riddle of the eye, often confused with the all-seeing eye. And that is the connection to what is ethereal and magical, because of the entire mechanism. This has led us to believe that we are in the eye of the Creator. The circle is the mind. As to the rest of the body, it is quite unknown. This is why the mind of the Creator idea was so close. So within the eye are the chains of time that pass from past to present and into the future. We do not. We merely stay in our place as time moves on and puts the spin in our realm. Time guides the view of life. But when we pass beyond the astral realm or the veil, that is when we find unending, beyond time, life, to which the shackles of morality are gone, for the mind is immortal. This is what the Titans sought to teach before they were destroyed by the Forgotten King. Is it truly what they sought to seek? It's yet to be seen, but time in the book, my ideas of how it works might sound pretty ignorant or very out there. I can't really say. But to me, this makes the most sense. I think there's something to all of this. Hence why I'm making it in the book, you know? It was just to kind of like, well, how does the world work? One of those questions I'll ask myself, like, you know, I'm making an entire world, but like, how does the planet spin? And it just kind of started with that, like, well, I got to figure out how time works. And so that's where all this kind of stuff happened. And through that investigation and through my looking and thinking about it and kind of using real life as like a sample, I started to realize a few things that I'm like, I don't know. Things aren't adding up. Something doesn't feel quite right about this all. And that was the whole point of this, exploration of it. And it just so happened to kind of fall naturally into what the story was about, because honestly, the book was written before this stuff was created. So it's kind of like, it's crazy, is what it is. Yeah, I think this will be a short one, feels like. I don't think this is a very long one. But I kind of wanted to talk about that and just put that out there. And what should I call it? Time. I think I already have a video called that. The Chains of Time. We'll just call it that. Maybe kind of a little fun thing. See what people think about it. See if maybe your cousin gets really frustrated or horny. Hopefully the second one, because then I can do this. Yeah, I hope you know what that is. Your grandma does, that's for sure. Can we talk about your obsession with grandmas? No, we can't.